25 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there. That when I was a teenager, I was attacked on a train. But I remember at the time being so angry. It was anger, and I thought, why is this? It just sort of bored.
A senior palace aide answered a phone call last February. It lasted just 9 minutes, but it was all about Camilla. By the time the conversation ended, insiders say the Queen Consort's future had already taken a sharp turn. Reports claim Anne had waited nearly 30 years to make that call. The lawyer on the other end barely spoke. There was no need to say much. The choice had already been made. What followed over the next year is reportedly what Camilla is still dealing with today. Even more surprising, sources claim Anne removed something from a private room inside Windsor Castle just 3 weeks later. That room matters more than most people realize, because that room is where this story truly starts. For decades, the public followed a version of events that fit neatly into headlines. Diana was the wife, Camilla was the other woman, Charles was stuck in the middle. That simple storyline sold magazines, but many believed there was far more happening behind palace walls. Diana died in a Paris tunnel in August 1997 at age 36. Her marriage had been troubled for years before that tragic night. Yet, the woman Diana once described as the third person in her marriage remained close to Charles. Camilla later married him in 2005, and years afterward she entered Westminster Abbey wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece strongly associated with the late Queen. For many, that coronation looked like the final chapter. Camilla appeared to have secured her place, and the public focus shifted elsewhere. But reports suggest Anne never forgot the events she witnessed. Over the years, she saw the Camillagate tapes emerge, watched Charles's televised admission, Diana's panorama interview, the divorce, and the shock that followed Diana's death in 1997. Anne has never been known for sharing her feelings in public. She rarely speaks about personal matters at all. But people close to her reportedly believe something changed after the coronation. Not open anger, but something far more calculated. It was as if a decision had been quietly stored away, waiting for the right moment. And according to insiders, that moment may have finally arrived. There is one part of this story that many people still cannot stop talking about. In the mid-1990s, Diana publicly spoke about the struggles in her marriage. During her famous 1995 interview, she directly referred to Camilla as the third person in the relationship. Those comments have been repeated for decades and remain one of the most remembered moments of the royal saga. Camilla was not viewed as just another companion. She was linked to the 1993 phone tape scandal and to conversations that became front-page news across Britain. The public heard the recordings, and the media coverage was relentless. While those headlines dominated newspapers, Diana was raising 2 young sons under intense public attention. William was old enough to see the headlines and understand that something serious was happening. Reports claim he often saw newspaper stories about his family, and those stories were impossible to escape. One former household figure even alleged that William once asked about a term connected to marital betrayal. Whether that specific story is accurate remains unclear, but it reflects the kind of pressure a young royal may have faced. Today, William is no longer the child reading headlines. Sources suggest he has spent years quietly remembering those events and the impact they had on his family. There is a photograph from September 1997 that many people still remember today. 2 young princes walking behind a coffin draped in the royal standard. One was 15, the other 12. The streets of London were nearly silent, with only the sound of hooves echoing through the city. William has rarely spoken publicly about that day. He has not written a memoir focused on it or given lengthy interviews describing what he felt. Still, people said to know him claim he has shared brief thoughts over the years. According to some reports, what stayed with him most was not the procession itself, but everything surrounding it. Those accounts suggest William struggled with the public family tensions that had unfolded before his mother's death. Some sources claim he carried those memories for years, especially as major changes continued within the royal family. Whether every private story is accurate is impossible to confirm, but the emotions connected to that period remain a major part of the public conversation. What is clear is that the young boy seen in that famous photograph is now one of the most influential figures in the monarchy. He holds significant responsibilities, oversees major operations, and plays a key role in decisions affecting the royal family's future. Many observers believe those early experiences helped shape the leader he became. And this is where the story shifts from personal history to royal power struggles. The Duchy of Cornwall is far more than a symbolic title. It is a massive business operation that dates back to 1337. The estate includes farmland across multiple counties, the Isles of Scilly, commercial properties, holiday rentals, tenant farms, mineral rights, and a huge investment portfolio. Built over nearly 7 centuries, it generates substantial income and gives its holder enormous financial influence. That influence is why attention inside palace circles has reportedly become more intense than ever. The Duchy of Cornwall generated roughly £30 million in income during 2025. Every major decision tied to that estate falls under William's authority. When Queen Elizabeth II died in 2022, control of the duchy passed automatically from Charles to William, and observers quickly noticed changes. One of the biggest talking points involved Annabel Elliot, Camilla's sister. After working on duchy-related projects for many years, her name reportedly no longer appeared in financial records connected to the estate. There was no major announcement, no public dispute, and no lengthy explanation. The change simply happened. Reports also suggested William brought in people from his own trusted circle. Commentators were quick to point out the shift, viewing it as a sign that he wanted a team closely aligned with his vision. Whether intentional or not, the move sparked plenty of discussion across royal watcher circles. But many accounts leave out Anne, and her history adds another layer to the story. Long before Camilla married Charles, and even before Camilla married Andrew Parker Bowles, Anne was reportedly linked to Andrew during the early 1970s. At the time, newspapers covered the relationship openly. Anne was a princess, Andrew was a well-known cavalry officer, and their connection attracted public attention. Eventually, the relationship ended, and Andrew later married Camilla. That part is not rumor, it has been documented for decades. People close to Anne often describe her as someone who rarely forgets important details. According to royal observers, she tends to keep her thoughts private and her emotions tightly controlled. Because of that, some believe she has always viewed key events through a long-term lens, quietly remembering who was involved and how those events unfolded. When Diana joined the royal family in 1981, some royal watchers believe Anne had already seen similar relationship tensions play out before. Because of that history, commentators often argue that Anne viewed later events with a very different perspective than many others around her. Today, Anne is frequently described as one of the monarchy's strongest links to its past. She has decades of first-hand experience and a deep understanding of how major royal events unfolded behind the scenes. That is why recent reports about her activities have attracted so much attention. One area at the center of those reports is the Royal Archives at Windsor Castle. Located within the Round Tower, the archives contain historical records, letters, diaries, memoranda, and other documents connected to generations of royal history. Access is tightly controlled, making it one of the most closely guarded collections in the royal world. Sources claim Anne has spent time reviewing materials connected to the 1980s and 1990s. According to those reports, the focus is not on public headlines, but on how key events were handled internally. Questions surrounding decision-making, communications, and responses to major family challenges are said to be part of that review. Some insiders have even attached a dramatic nickname to the process, the Windsor Reset. Whether that label is genuine or simply palace shorthand remains unclear. What has fueled speculation is the idea that historical events could be viewed through a different lens as more records are examined. If any reassessment does emerge, it would likely come through influence and historical interpretation rather than public confrontations. Observers say Anne is known for working quietly, making any potential impact far more subtle but potentially long-lasting within royal circles. Here is the part that has sparked the most discussion. Some royal observers argue that while Camilla secured her place within the monarchy, Diana's public legacy has remained incredibly powerful. In this view, Anne represents the institution's memory, while William represents its future influence. Together, they are often seen as two of the most significant figures shaping what comes next. Of course, none of these claims have been publicly confirmed by the palace, and official confirmation is unlikely. Royal households rarely comment on internal speculation. What keeps the conversation alive is the pattern that many commentators believe they are seeing unfold. According to those watching closely, the changes did not happen all at once. Instead, they appeared gradual and carefully managed. Supporters of this theory argue that preparation came first, followed by a series of visible shifts that drew attention throughout 2025. One major development came when King Charles extended the authority to grant royal warrants to both William and Catherine. These warrants are highly respected endorsements given to businesses and organizations connected to the monarchy. Because of their importance, the move was viewed by some analysts as a meaningful signal about the future direction of royal influence. Attention also turned to royal patronages. Following Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022, hundreds of patronages required reassignment. As that process continued, royal watchers noticed that several prominent roles reportedly ended up in different hands than expected. There were no dramatic announcements or public disputes, just decisions that fueled fresh speculation. For those following every palace move, these developments became another piece of a much larger puzzle, one that continues to generate debate across royal circles today. Reports suggest that Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla's son, was seen less frequently at certain royal gatherings than in previous years. Some royal commentators have claimed that invitations and appearances connected to key family events became noticeably fewer after 2024, though no official explanation was ever given. Annabel Elliot also became a topic of discussion. After her reported departure from duchy-related work, observers noted that she appeared less often at several seasonal royal functions where she had been a familiar face for many years. These changes fueled speculation that Camilla's wider social circle was becoming less visible within royal events. Another issue drawing attention involved Sarah Ferguson. Her name appeared in documents released by the U.S. Department of Justice related to Jeffrey Epstein. There is no evidence that Ferguson committed any crime, but the association generated headlines and renewed scrutiny around figures connected to that branch of the royal family. Some sources have claimed there were disagreements behind the scenes about how closely certain relationships should be maintained. However, no such discussions have been publicly confirmed. What is clear is that these reports have become part of a broader narrative about shifting alliances and influence within royal circles. Then attention turned to a property known as Ray Mill House in Wiltshire. Camilla had owned the countryside retreat for decades, long before marrying Charles. The home was often described as one of her favorite private escapes. When the property was listed for sale, there was no major announcement or public campaign surrounding it. What caught the attention of royal watchers was how quickly reports indicated the sale moved forward, creating yet another wave of speculation about what might be happening behind palace doors. According to reports, the speed of the Ray Mill House sale is what caught so much attention. It was not about the value of the property. For many observers, the bigger question was why a home with such deep personal significance appeared to leave Camilla's portfolio so quickly. Sources familiar with the situation have claimed that Ray Mill was long viewed as a private refuge, a place connected to her life before the highest levels of royal duty. Because of that history, the decision to sell sparked fresh speculation about how she may be viewing the future. At present, Camilla continues to hold a prominent place within the royal family and has access to royal residences associated with her role. Looking ahead, however, royal commentators often debate what her position could look like in the years to come and how royal assets may eventually be distributed. Some analysts have pointed to properties such as Clarence House and Highgrove as key parts of that conversation. While both are highly valuable estates, observers note that property ownership is separate from the unique status and influence that come with being queen consort. For royal watchers, the rapid sale of Ray Mill became another sign that long-term planning may already be underway behind the scenes. According to a story circulating among palace insiders, Anne was asked earlier this year whether the timing of recent developments was unfair to Camilla. The reply reportedly came in just a few words: "Diana deserves the truth now." Whether that quote is accurate or not, it has become a powerful piece of royal gossip. What matters more is the perception surrounding Anne's role. Sources claim she has shown little interest in slowing down changes taking place within the institution. In royal circles, even quiet signals can carry weight, and observers say Anne's stance is being watched closely. Reports suggest Camilla has grown frustrated by a series of decisions affecting her position and influence. some accounts claim she has questioned changes involving patronages, invitations, and other royal matters. Yet none of these moves have been publicly presented as actions against her. That is what makes the situation so difficult to define. Critics and supporters alike point to a pattern rather than a single event. Each decision can be explained on its own, but together they have fueled endless speculation about shifting power inside the monarchy. William, for his part, has never publicly attacked Camilla or spoken against her. Royal commentators often note that his approach appears focused on actions rather than words. As a result, every decision is examined for deeper meaning, especially when discussions turn to Diana's legacy and how future generations may remember that chapter of royal history. Here is the part many royal watchers find most striking. Sources claim Charles is fully aware of the tensions being discussed and understands the positions being attributed to both Anne and William. One report even suggests he had a lengthy phone conversation with Anne last year that ended without any clear resolution. Charles, now in his 70s, has continued carrying out public duties while dealing with serious health challenges since his cancer diagnosis in 2024. Observers have often noted the discipline he has shown during a difficult period. However, some commentators question how much energy remains for managing complex family disputes behind the scenes. According to reports, Charles does not view every disagreement as a personal attack. Some sources claim he understands the perspectives involved, even if he cannot fully resolve them. That idea has become a major part of the speculation surrounding the royal family today. Of course, these claims remain unconfirmed. The palace has not publicly verified them, and it is unlikely to comment on private family matters. Royal gossip has a habit of turning speculation into accepted fact over time, and some of the details in this story may change as new reporting emerges. But many royal watchers keep pointing to the same thing. The visible pattern of events over the past few years appears to match what insiders have been quietly discussing behind the scenes. Diana never got the chance to see what the monarchy would look like decades later. What remains undeniable is that her legacy continues to shape public conversations around the royal family. Today, attention has shifted toward William, Anne, and the future direction of the institution they help influence. For supporters of this theory, the story is not about revenge. It is about legacy, memory, and who ultimately shapes the royal narrative going forward. And that debate is far from over. What do you think is really happening behind palace doors? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest royal updates and discussions.